at the Bob Hope Classic, I saw you played with Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Peter Jacobson, and John Daly. And then I also saw that you actually played with Tiger Woods. But I'm very curious because I literally like just got into golf. I know a handful of names. I'm like not a huge golf nerd, I guess, as you would say, but I literally just started playing it with my brother. It's super fun. But I know who John Daly is. And I know that John Daly is a partier, to say the least. So I was curious if you had any stories with John Daly while golfing with him.
He was my partner in the AT&T. I'll get back to John Daly in a minute. I caddied as a boy, so I love golf. I grew up in the streets. Going to a golf course was a whole new world for me. When I was growing up, I always thought I wanted to own a tavern because that's where my father spent all of his money. When I went to caddy at Ravislow, where I caddied at this club, they sent two kids to college every year on the Evans Scholarship. I was in this environment I had never been before. I was caddying for lawyers and doctors and Mr. Florsheim, very wealthy people, and they treated me not like a slave or something. They treated me like a son, I just was a whole new world. All of a sudden, after a few years, I started dreaming maybe I could be more than just a tavern owner. That's why I understand when young kids in the ghetto want to grow up to be a pimp or a drug pusher, because that's the only person they've ever seen with a lot of money and success. They've never been outside that environment. So it made sense to me, So I love golf, but I didn't play it for years. I went in the military, didn't play for years. I got married when I came out of the service, had a wife, 3 kids. I'm working construction. My buddies would say, "You want to play golf on Sunday?" Yeah. Well, we're teeing off at 6:30. We get up at 5. I ain't doing that shit. 6:30. So now when I'm touring with Sammy Davis Jr., Sammy had a golf tournament called the Sammy Davis Jr. Pro-Am in Hartford, Connecticut. And Ping was his sponsor, the manufacturer of Ping, And I one day was on the golf course with him, just riding around the cart. He had a cart that was like a apartment on wheels. It had a bar, it had a television set, and I'm just riding around with him. But I was swinging one of his clubs. He said, "Tommy, you got a good swing. Do you golf?" I said, "Well, I played when I was a kid." He ended up buying me a set of Ping woods and irons and had them in my dressing room as a gift, And then Bob Hope invited me to the Bob Hope Classic. He saw me on the Tonight Show one night and invited me. And I got out on that first tee. And there's like 8,000 people lining up the fairway and everything. And the guy's announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, now on the tee, Mr. Tom." He said, my knees were shaking. I said, what am I doing? But so I started taking the game serious. And then I played in the Bob Hope Classic for years and years and years. I later became the master of ceremonies for the Bob Hope Classic. I played in the Frank Sinatra Celebrity Invitational. I was a master of ceremonies for 30 years and played in that every year. Then I also was on a tour. There was a tour called the Celebrity Players Tour. It was basketball, baseball, football, hockey, tennis, and show business people that were 10 handicap or below. So it was Johnny Bench, Mike Schmidt, Mario Lemieux, John Elway, Dan Marino, Michael Jordan. We had 42 Hall of Famers. Wow. Show business, it was me. It was Matt Lauer, Brian Gumble, Smokey Robinson, Eddie Marinaro, Frankie Avalon, show business people. I was the only comedian on that tour. We did 12 cities a year and they paid you. Rick Rhoden won over $2 million on our tour, a former pitcher in baseball. So I always said I was the leading money winner I was a leading money winner among stand-up comedians on the Celebrity Players Tour. And they say, "Well, how many are there?" I said, "I'm the only comedian on the Celebrity Players Tour." But to get back, before I get to John Daly, during that time, I'm flying with Frank Sinatra all over the world in his private jet, doing shows in front of 20,000 seat arenas and living in Frank Sinatra's world. And when I wasn't doing that, I was playing golf with all these athletes. If somebody would have told me when I was a little boy on my hands and knees, shining shoes and bars, one day, you hear that guy in the jukebox? Come fly with me. You're going to be flying with him all over the world and gracing the same stage with him. And you're going to get inside an arena and you're going to compete with the greatest athletes who ever lived in your lifetime. I'd have said, that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible. But here I was doing just that. So every time they came to me with a sitcom, I turned it down. Every time they offered.
Yeah.
Christopher Morley said, Christopher Morley, the author, said, success is living the life you want. And I was living the life I wanted. I mean, I was touring with Frank Sinatra. I'm competing with all these great athletes. It was just that catch me out. And John Daly, whenever you go to the AT&T, Clint Eastwood is a good buddy of mine, and he invited me to the AT&T, and I became the master of ceremonies for the AT&T and did shows every year we do it. But they hook you up with a pro. So it's a celebrity and a pro. And you know, if I'm out of the hole, if I'm laying 6 and my pro makes a birdie, we're 1 under. You know, if I get a shot on this hole, you know, so we match the scores, right? John Daly was my partner for like 4 years. And I always say, this is what John Daly taught me. He once said to me, Tom, 24 cans of beer in a case, 24 hours in a day. Coincidence? I don't think so. Because that boy could drink. That boy, you know, he's still my friend. He calls me all the time. You know?
I mean, and he's still throwing it back. I remember hearing this story. I'm definitely going to mess it up, but he was somewhere prepping for a tournament, and Tiger Woods walked by him, and he was like, "Hey, come get a drink." Tiger was like, "I gotta go. I gotta get in the weight room." And then Tiger gets his workout in, and then he walks past John again at the bar. John's like, "Hey, come get a drink." Tiger's like, "No, I gotta go get my shots in." And then eventually they played the next day, and Tiger did not perform well when Daly performed amazing. I think he was like one of the top finishers, but Tiger then came over to John and was like, "You know what? I might have to start drinking more if I'm going to continue to play like that." So.
Yeah. But in the long run, Tiger went out, but it's true about John. John's just one of those great country boy characters who not only hit a golf ball far, people didn't realize what a great short game he had. He had a great short game, but he's a funny guy. And he'll call me 2:00 in the morning. "Hey, Dreese, I'm at a bar, and this guy next to me loves Frank Sinatra. And I told him I knew you. He didn't believe I knew you. Dreese, tell him a Frank Sinatra story." John, it's 2:00 in the morning. I got to get him 6 and catch a plane. No. Well, you can tell him a story, and I'll end up doing that. You know?